Should be live in a moment. Here we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Tyler Ellison, and I am joined by my wonderful friend and host for the day, Marcia. Marcia, thanks for being here with all of us. How are you?
Hey, hello everybody. Very happy to be with here once again and happy new year.
Absolutely. Happy 2024, everybody. I hope this opportunity to create some new changes has been exciting for you. Of course, we have opportunities to create changes every single moment, but nothing like a collective initiative to get the ball moving for some of us. So again, thank you all for being here. In today's Q&A, I'll be going into the trance state, bringing my Sassani guide, RYOKA, through. You're going to be able to ask him pretty much whatever you want. You type your questions into the chat, and Marcia is going to find the questions that are the most interesting, the most engaging, the most relevant, and she's going to be asking RYOKA on your behalf these questions. He'll provide the answer. Before we get into the Q&A, we are going to be discussing our upcoming event, which is next weekend. This is going to be Sunday, the 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Rayaka is going to be talking about the nature of that event, what you can expect in terms of teachings and meditations and new ideas. And then we're going to proceed right into the Q&A for the remainder of the time. So, as usual, my friends, my allies, supporters, and people here that are doing their best to make the Earth experience better, thank you for your support. And thank you for doing what you do. We have a community here, and it doesn't always feel like that because we just have little avatars and names behind a screen. But I just remind you that every question that you see was asked by a person, and that right now, if this distance were shrunk, we would probably have 40, 50 people all in one room doing this. So even though we're doing this distantly, I want to emphasize that just to talk about there is a real connection here and a real strength, and all of you absolutely make that possible. So once more, my appreciation to you always. And now let's go ahead and get into some channeling. So Marcia, you are now the co-host, and I'm going to hit the record button and we're going to dive right in. So, my
Right.
friends, have a fantastic time, and I will see you when we are all finished. All right, we greet you all through this particular channel. We thank you for joining us for this month's Q&A session, where we shall address your questions and we shall share our perspectives and insights. And of course, before we do this, we will describe to you the nature of our upcoming transmission, which is titled The Power of the Three Selves. For understand that even though you experience yourself usually as a singular entity, you can create divisions within one's consciousness, not negative divisions, but rather understandings that allow for you to differentiate between the various levels of your consciousness. For you have, for example, the idea of the higher self, which is designed to guide you so that you come to Earth and learn all that you came here to learn in the most efficacious, exciting way possible. You have the lower self, which keeps you anchored, which keeps you rooted, which is deeply connected to your instinctual mind and your physical body. And of course, you have what we would describe as the middle self, which is the result of these two selves coming together. We will describe how that process takes place in relationship to incarnation. We will describe the power of the hexagram and how that relates to the heart center and leads to the integration of these two selves. And we will lead you through a very vivid meditation where you can get in touch, where you can get in contact with both the lower self and the higher self, so you can understand them and work with them in a way that will really allow for you to unify the various energies within you, so you can be like an arrow launching yourself in the direction that most greatly represents the true you, which again is always communicated to you through the sensation of passion, through the sensation of joy. We remind you, when you are feeling excited, when you are feeling passionate, when you are feeling joyful, you are in sync with that true you. And those three selves are in harmony. So through working with these three selves, you can create that harmonious condition that will allow for such an alignment to take place. So we thank you for receiving this opening description of our upcoming transmission. And now we make ourselves available to you all for whatever questions you find desirable this day.
Hello, Ryoka. Nice to
And
hear you
hello
again.
to you. Yes, so wonderful to hear you as well. How are you doing this day?
I'm great. I'm very excited to be here to learn about you and all the questions that everyone has today.
As are we. We are excited to learn about each of you and to discover with you through your inquiries. So, whenever you are ready, you may begin with the first question.
All right. The first question is, why do we feel driven to share? Not sharing as splitting a cookie. I mean, sharing an experience with someone else as opposed to having the experience by ourselves alone.
Sure, other people are amplifiers. Keep that in mind, because other people are like literal power generators. Your electrical field is a power source. So when information is given to another person from you, the other person's energy field amplifies, it strengthens, it multiplies whatever you have shared. And that allows for both you and the other person to be able to share that experience together, even though it may have only been you that initially went through it. It's like including someone you care about, someone you love, whom you know will amplify the positivity, who you know will be able to benefit from that positivity you have shared, thus allowing for both of you to grow and evolve in a loving way. Now, with the sharing of experiences, with the sharing of energy, we always encourage you, be discerning. For as you know, there are some people on your planet whom are ready to receive, and there are some people on your planet whom are not so ready to receive. Some people on your planet have their hands full. Yes, they're holding on to whatever it is they believe they need to hold on to. So you go sharing an experience with them. Well, they can't really do it. And well, maybe they judge it a little bit. Now you have introduced into your sharings of that energy negativity. Now, this does not necessarily automatically diminish your experience or you. However, it does introduce an energy that you will need to contend with in some way, just as you contend with all of the various energies that you experience throughout your day. So one of the things we would advise is be very discerning with whom you share the information with. Share information, share experiences with those whom you know will be able to receive them, and with those who you know will be able to positively amplify them. And here's a hint, those that are willing to receive it are likely going to positively amplify it. Keep in mind, when you contain experiences within you and you do not share them, that actually allows for the experience to grow. And it's almost as if only your energetic fingerprint is on it. And this is why some people on your planet will have very divine, powerful, magical experiences, but they won't tell a soul, because they know if they do, that energetic container is going to expand a little bit more and it may leak energy. So some people will keep these experiences to themselves as a way to maintain a personal connection to whatever the experience is. Ultimately, it comes down to your preference. There's not a right way, not a wrong way to go about it. So have fun with the sharing. And we remind you, you can share with intentionality and you will receive more reflections that mirror the quality of the energy that you have shared, amplified by the beneficent person, the positive person you have shared the information with.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Of course, you're so welcome. We thank you for this question.
So next question is, how can I communicate with the sun and how to ask it for assistance?
Sure. The first thing to remember is the connection between you and the sun is already active. It has been active since before you were born. And that relationship with the sun, that communication with the sun is active and it's ongoing. It's simply a matter of tuning into it. So one of the things we would advise is, as a beginning practice, allow for yourself to rest outside with your head angled so you can comfortably gaze upon the sun. With the eyes closed, not open, with the eyes closed, allow for the sunlight to penetrate the eyelids. You will start to see colors. Let the colors continue to build and meditate upon the colors. This is you actually consuming and alchemizing the sunlight, using the sunlight to stimulate the pineal gland, which is your interdimensional communication device. When your pineal gland and heart center are aligned, you can commune with any entity you desire. It's like you have a universal passport to any reality within existence. So there are many different ways of working with solar energy. Another thing that can be done is leave a jar of water sealed outdoors. You can make sure the water is high quality. It could be spring water, it could be purified water. You can add different minerals or salts to the water to give it a type of charge. And then the idea is let the sunlight penetrate the jar and warm and transform the water. And then let yourself sip on this water throughout the day. For charging, an hour is sufficient. That's fine. That will work. Charging the water during sunrise will enable you to be able to rapidly create new experiences, new opportunities, new directions. It will allow for you to gain momentum in relationship to certain projects or paths or things you are excited to initiate. If you charge the water using the sun at high noon, this will cause the water to take on an amplification quality where whatever things you're already doing, whatever things you're already feeding, whatever things you're already cultivating, all of that will get bigger. All of that will get stronger. And of course, if you charge the water during sunset, this is where you can actually use the sunlight to detoxify. Many of you know that different toxins can accumulate in the body through diet, through breathing certain types of air, and through emotions that are excessive. So this solar light charged during the sunset acts as a dissolving agent as well as a nutritional source. So energies will be detoxified from you through this water. However, because the sunlight itself is inherently nourishing, the spaces that are created through the detoxification will be filled by that water. So it's like you are kicking old energies out, and now you are immediately resupplementing yourself with the energies of ultimately success, alignment, and love, which are the three major properties, the three major qualities of solar energy. So those are two things you can do on a very practical, basic level to start that relationship in a conscious way. There are very traditional approaches for working with the sun in certain magical or occult traditions. There are rituals that are specifically done to invoke solar power, known as the hexagram of soul technique. This is an elaborate technique. It is rather advanced, so we don't recommend it for beginners. There are prerequisites to it. However, we're letting you know you have these very hands-on ways of communing with the sun, just like we've described, and you also have these very energetic psychic ways of being able to connect with the sun. Both will work. So those are some starting points. And one of the things that we remind you of is the sun and all of the celestial spheres are intelligent. They are macro forms of consciousness. So when you synchronize with these celestial bodies, you begin to take on their likeness. It expands your consciousness. So that's going to be the extent of it for now. There's more techniques, but we can describe those to you later if you wish in another conversation.
Can you explain how electromagnetic waves of the brain, heart, and the planet and everyone around us affects each other in terms of reality creation?
Sure. So keep in mind that the electromagnetic energy that your earth is pulsing, that your organs are pulsing, contain information. It's not just power, it's not just an electromagnetic power that is being radiated within that electricity, within this field that is being pulsed. There is information. That information relates to your overall energy state, which is created by your feelings, your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs, and ultimately your quality of relationship to yourself and to the world within and around you. All of that is condensed into a type of subtle information that is then broadcasted through the pulsing of the electromagnetic field. And that's how empathy works. If you have a developed nervous system, you can feel the electrical field of others. You can sense the information there. And that's how you understand intuitively what's going on with a person. The same can be said for reading the energy of a location. You're tuning into the electromagnetic field and you're allowing for the information contained within to reveal itself. So keep in mind that these different charges that are created by the different electromagnetic fields that you all possess seek some type of equilibrium. There is a desire for these different fields of electromagnetism to be synced. So those that are vibrating at a lower rate will usually gather with those whom are also vibrating at a lower rate. And this allows for them to create a type of stability within their experience. Those that are vibrating at a higher rate will seek those whom are vibrating at a higher rate because that allows for them to create stability within their experience. And eventually, when those that are more positive gather with those that are more positive, and when those that are more negative gather with those that are more negative, eventually these two groups come together for an integration. Because eventually, those that are obsessed with the negativity eventually realize the futility of that path. And eventually, the suffering, the discomfort becomes so intense, they finally say, all right, maybe there's another way. And then, on the other hand, there is those that are vibrating more positively, who are cultivating these positive frequencies, who say, you know what, I have a desire to share. I have so much of this light. I wish to give some away. And then those two groups come together. The electromagnetic field of the earth specifically is what guides the movement of the animals and all of you. And it is that electromagnetic field of the earth that guides you to different locations. It guides you to different people. It guides you to different power centers on the planet. So these electrical fields are really how you all communicate with one another initially. All other forms of communication are secondary to that. So keep this in mind. You have the idea of body language. You have the idea of being able to communicate with words and things like this. All of those are secondary to that initial communication that comes from the electromagnetic interaction.
How important is it for humans to know their true history and origins? Why is there so much contradicting evidence out there?
It has to do with the forgetting process that you all go through. Because remember, when your species first established itself on Earth, you did not have the forgetting process. You recognized your celestial origins. The longer you stayed on Earth, the more physical you became, and the more oriented towards matter your species became. And that's what created the forgetting, because matter is denser. Matter in physical reality creates veils of limitation. And if you constantly are incarnating on Earth, which is what many of you chose to do initially, so you could really sink your teeth in, so you could really dive into the planetary experience, because of that, layers of densification and, you could say, obfuscation were then created. And over time, it led to a type of forgetting process. And because your species is incredibly ancient, and because your species has gone through extinction events, cataclysms, entire societal upheavals, because of this, information gets lost. And that has happened for your species time and time and time again. There are periods of time in your species chapter, you could say, where that remembering of your origin comes back. But then more things occur that initiate the forgetting. So eventually you all remember. Eventually the story is returned to you because it's contained within you. You must recognize that even though on the intellectual level, the origin story may appear to be lost, on the genetic level, it's all right there. You just follow the DNA trail all the way back. There is a type of meditation that can even be done to allow for you to trace the genetic trail back to some of these very ancient origin points. And the meditation would be very simple, and we'll share it here so you can practice on your own. Imagine that the double helix genetic structure is laid out before you like a road going infinitely into the distance. Begin to walk and transverse this double helix structure. In your mind, with your astral body, feel your legs energetically stepping one after another, walking on this bridge of DNA. And you will notice that in the darkness surrounding the bridge, there will be different images, different ideas that seem to pop up in your mind. This is the DNA communicating with you, revealing to you information. The further you transverse, the more you will be able to recall. So that's a way you can journey into your genetic lineage and receive a great deal of information. The other reason for this forgetting process is because it initiates discovery. If you already knew it, there would be no search. There would be no quest for knowledge. There would be no desire to understand and grow oneself through the knowledge. But because that knowledge is lost, it sends many of you on a type of spiritual quest to uncover what you perceive to be truth. And in that quest of understanding the origins of humanity, you end up understanding and finding yourselves time and time and time again. And each time you do that, you learn even more about yourselves. So that forgetting process is very much designed to actually assist you. And once you have all rediscovered yourselves in that way and recreated yourselves through the alchemy of the heart, you will find that your story becomes rather apparent. It will start to speak to you. You will have a remembrance as a species from within. So remember, the story is there. It's simply a matter of dialing into it and noticing how the story's not finished. All of the things that led to the creation of your species as you understand it, all of that, and the karmas, you could say, created by that, are all playing out around you. It's a matter of noticing it and asking yourself, where did some of these societal tendencies and patterns come from? Where did all of this come from? Why have we organized ourselves in this way? Why have we built our society in this way? If you start to ask those questions and trace all of this back, you will start to see amazing details that not only reinforce you all truly come from one culture and one people, but you'll also begin to see that each culture that exists around your planet ultimately is another take, another understanding of that human story. So more will be revealed, but that's why you have the forgetting. It's specifically to initiate the discovery process.
Beautiful. Thank you for that meditation. I can't wait to do it, that one.
Of course, yes. Have fun. You may see some of us in there as well.
Mm.
Remember, if you have had your genetics modified, it's likely you'll contact some of those beings through that exercise. So many things will start to open up. Any beings extra dimensionally who share DNA with you, you may notice them on your journey. So it's a
Wow.
very powerful way to get in touch with those who have been working with you behind the scenes.
Exciting.
Oh,
So
yes.
next question. 2024 is the year of the dragon. What is the quality of the dragon symbol? And also, he's asking about the number 8, which is the 2 plus 2 plus 4 of the year 2024.
Mhm, mhm. Sure. So we'll talk about the dragon energies first. The energies of the dragon are of ascension. The purpose and point of the dragon is to energize, to align, and to uplift. It represents raw primordial power. In a certain way, you could describe it as Kundalini. However, keep in mind that the Kundalini energy is usually described as a serpent. It begins at the base of the spine and it slowly winds its way up to the crown, energizing the upper chakras and psychic centers, leading to powerful altered states of consciousness that many of you classify as gradations of enlightenment. But we remind you the Kundalini does not have to stop at the crown. The Kundalini can be like a rocket ship that you use to propel your spirit out of the crown or out of your third eye so you can fly like a dragon, so you can explore these other dimensions and these other realities, because the dragon itself is a symbol of pure yang, pure light. So whatever reality it goes into, it immediately illuminates it. So you have clarity and power, so you can create the changes in those realities that you desire, and so you can explore those realities accordingly. The dragon is also a reference to things within the psyche that you feel overpower you. For example, many of you may deal with certain emotions, with certain compulsions, with certain thoughts that feel as if they are excessively challenging. Maybe they feel as if they're incredibly dense. And this symbolically represents the inner dragon, which, of course, in your classical tales is slain by the noble knight. And either a beautiful princess or treasure is discovered on the other side of that. This is a metaphor, of course. The slaying of the dragon represents the facing of those challenges, the facing of those fears, the integration of those things, and then the reception of the new self, the new perspective, and the new energy that comes from that integration. So that's another way the dragon can be symbolized. So in other words, this year, this year of the dragon will be a year of great power, great exploration, great energy. It will be a year where you can initiate powerful, powerful changes within your experience. It will also be a year where you can face those inner dragons with precision, with openness, with strategy, and ultimately with love, because that is just another part of you, whatever that inner dragon is. The dragon is also, as we had said, a reference to the sexual power. So for many of you that have been desiring love, that have been desiring romance, this may be a year where that is much more probable for you because of that root chakra energizing that is taking place across the planet. The power of 8, which is what your 2024 reduces to, has to do with the idea of bonding, coming together. For as we had said, the dragon seeks through its ascension and explores. You will meet soul family. You will meet new people. You will come into new ideas, new philosophies, new relationships, new practices, and you will begin to bond with that. You will begin to become one with that, forming a new self. For the power of 8 is the power of Mercury, and the mercurial power is neutral. It takes on the qualities of whatever is around it. So when you expose yourself to these things that excite you this year, you will be deeply bonding with them. They will become a part of you. The mercurial dimension of 8 also is referencing that during this year, there will be immense technological innovations that take place. You will see many innovations in your field of artificial intelligence and how that relates to creating new technologies and detecting extra dimensional, extra sensorial phenomenon. This will be a year where you begin to see what is sometimes called the ghost in the machine. Because we remind you, everything has a spirit. As you know, if you've meditated with a crystal, you can connect with the spirit of the crystal. If you meditate with an animal, you can connect with the spirit of the animal. All things have their own spirit, including your technology. What AI is doing is it is creating a version of the computing technology that allows for that inner spirit of the technology to actually express itself. Now, whether that is sentient or not is something that many of your scientists and engineers are debating. And what we will say is the following. If the technology is designed to replicate nature in terms of how it's configured, it will act as a temporary vehicle for incarnation. Beings will be able to overshadow the AI, and it will enable these beings to flow their energies through it, allowing for different beings to actually communicate through the AI to beings of your society. So there are going to be many innovations, and it will also be a year of great acceleration. It may be a year of, for many of you, the clashing of the ideas, because the power of Mercury is the power of higher thinking, higher perspective, higher ideas, higher philosophies. So this will be a year where these different points of view, where these different perspectives come together. Some of them may clash a little bit because they are not allowing of one another. Others may begin to integrate and bond, just like we said before, very swimmingly. So you will see how that plays out in your society this year.
Mm. Next question. Before my spiritual journey, I was confident with people around me. Now I am afraid to even be around them. Can you tell me what's happening?
Well, one of the things that you are sensing within yourself is the survival mechanism. You are sensing the fight or flight mechanism turning on when you are around people. Now, what we'll say is that fight or flight mechanism was probably active and turning on within you before your spiritual path. It's likely that your spiritual path has made you more sensitive energetically, and now you're aware of that underlying fight or flight. The other thing we'll say is when you are more energetically sensitive, you can see more of people, positive and negative. And if you're sensing their negativity and you are unable to integrate that negativity that you're sensing, it will create a type of fear. But we remind you that whatever negativity you see in others in some way is representing something within the self. So these fears that you experience around others are an opportunity for you to grow, for you to learn. These are not fears to run away from, rather, these are fears to lean into. And as you lean into your fears, what you will notice is you're no longer in a state of pure fear. As soon as you have chosen to lean into it, you're brave. It's that easy. As soon as you have chosen to stand your ground and to lean into it, you are now channeling your bravery. You are now channeling your courage. It is the running away that amplifies the fear and actually makes it bigger each time you run away. So allow for yourself to get into a meditative state and think about the people you will be interacting with today. Do this at the beginning of your day in the morning. Think of the people you have to see. And no, some of these people will be positive, some of these people will be more negative, some of them will be somewhere in the middle. Accept that because you're on Earth. Of course, you'll experience that variety. And spend time meditating on each person you're going to see that day. And spend time smiling to them, sharing love with them. Don't move on to the next person until you feel the person that you have been meditating upon is glowing with goodness and you too are glowing with goodness. Now move into the next person. And keep this type of meditation process going. What you're going to be doing is you're training yourself to open your heart to whatever or whoever life hands you. And that's what allows for you to experience the highest version of whatever that relationship or interaction is. We remind you, other people are reflections. That's it. Your external reality is a multi-dimensional mirror. So get in touch with those fears, because it's not just about the other people. It is likely also about how the other people may be seeing you. It may have to do with your own image of yourself. So really get in touch with your relationship with yourself, how you are defining yourself, how you are describing yourself, what type of character you're creating yourself to be. And if you find that those definitions, those ideas you're using to create yourself aren't really up to date, they don't really represent you, tweak them, change them, and tweak those definitions so you can orient yourself in a way that allows for you to be successful in your conversations and in your relationships with others. All right. It seems our host has temporarily dropped off. So, one moment, we are going to open the channel's eyes and observe the YouTube chat. One moment, everyone. I hope you like that answer. All right, let me find my live stream and then I'm gonna just take some questions and I'll go back into the trance. So give me a moment, everybody. It's the first time this has happened in a while, but no problem, no problem. Just rolling with it, you know, we're all doing our best. So let's see if I can get this live stream up. Here we go. Here's our live stream. All right, let me mute this and let me see if I can get our chat going. Okay, here we go. We got the chat up. Hey, RYOKA, can I borrow your spaceship? That's an award-winning question right there, I have to say. Let's find one. When is the answer? Can you talk about some interesting extraterrestrial civilizations you've encountered on your journeys? That's a cool one. I'm going to table that. Let's see. Is there a current significance to the energy frequency of the blue aura? It seems to be popping up in my life a lot. Okay, blue auras. So we're going to take two for right now. We have the significance of blue auras, blue energy, and a recent description of some interesting ET civilizations that RYOKA's encountered. So we're going to work with those two questions for now. When I get through those, I'll open my eyes and take some more. So, thank you, everybody. All right, now we shall continue. In relationship to the power of blue, we remind you, the power of blue is the power of two major forces. The first force is the water force. When you are tuning into the color frequency of blue, you are tuning into the elemental properties of water. Water is going to represent a few things. It represents, number one, the qualities of emotion. It represents the subconscious. The water element also represents the portal to the astral plane. As you know, water is something you jump into. So when you are interacting with the color blue, you are actually interacting with the building blocks of portals. So if you're channeling blue energy in different ways, you are actually creating a type of portal. A blue aura, for example, could be created as a way of being able to access a deeper level of another person. For example, if you're doing an energy healing, you can allow for the person's aura to be blue. You can charge their aura with blue light, and this will actually allow for you to enter in to their subconscious mind, into that deeper emotional level of the person. So the power of blue has this type of astral and emotional and subconscious connection. The power of blue also can represent the power of transformation and change, because as you know, a blue fire represents the hottest temperature of the flame. So this blue power also represents an incredibly high frequency state of being. It is as if the person's consciousness is rising like a flame. So the power of blue also has a reference to this. Now, the power of blue can also be something that opens one up to the realm that you sometimes call ether. This is a realm where subtle information, subtle energy is stored. Your throat chakra, for example, is designed to tune into that. When we are channeling, for example, it is the power of the throat chakra that allows for the channel to be able to sense the information and energy we are sending him through the space. So the power of blue will really develop one's throat chakra and will really develop one's ability to become sensitive to the information and psychic energy that is all around you. So there are many ways to work with it, but have fun with it and learn about it. See what different types of connections you can discover that relate to the powers of blue and blue light. Now, in relationship to different types of extraterrestrial species we have encountered recently, keep in mind, I myself have been stationed on the Earth. Now, when I say on Earth, I'm talking about your atmosphere. So I myself have been doing voyages mainly into your inner Earth space, utilizing different portals that exist that are spread throughout your planet. The most recent civilization I came into contact with actually exists within the extra-dimensional space within your planet. The beings that I encountered here in many ways are hybrid in nature. If you were to interact with them, they would be partially human, partially animal, quasi-physical in nature. This is a type of species that gathered energy from the inner earth dimension, and they used this energy to specifically grow and evolve their energy bodies in very particular ways, which ended up guiding how these beings physically evolved. So think of a species that, as one, engaged in similar energetic practices, allowing for them to have a clear, guided, shared evolutionary trajectory. These beings are winged. They are rather hairy in nature. They have the ability to see in the dark. They have the ability to utilize things like echolocation. They also have a type of tail that is rather long in nature. And if you were to observe their lower limbs, they would be almost completely animal-like, similar to your concept of a minotaur. So we encountered an entire collective of these beings during our inner earth explorations. And it was a very wonderful experience because these beings greatly assisted us in being able to map out some of these inner earth dimensions. Because of their sensitivity, they were able to reveal to us different types of energetic portals, different types of ley line networks that we were not currently aware of. So this was an exciting interaction that we had recently. In terms of the name that they utilize, the name that they go by, we were told that their society and their species utilizes the term Amarat to identify themselves. So if you wish to have some type of interaction with them, you can. And we see now that our host has returned to the Q&A, so we are going to allow for her to once more enter into the chat and take some of these questions. We thank you for the two you have shared. One moment. All right, and welcome back, dear host. How are you?
Oh, hi. I just absolutely lost the connection. I'm sorry.
That's
Don't
all
know.
right. That's all right. We were able to take a few questions. It's
Okay.
easier, of course, with you here. However, we were able to make do, so not
All
an issue.
right. I'm back.
We,
I'm back, guys.
we welcome you.
Um, okay, so let's take another question. Mm, okay, someone's asking about Venezuela, the country Venezuela. How are they collectively doing, and what type of changes are they expecting this year?
It is likely there will be an economic increase within Venezuela. They are currently redesigning, they are currently reimagining certain dimensions of their political system that will ultimately prioritize the economic growth. So we see changes here in that respect in terms of the economy. We also see the governments here making certain deals, of course, internationally based on resources that will also boost the economy. We are also detecting socially here within the country, there will be a evolution within how people relate to one another. For there is the idea of the cultural dynamic that organizes how people in society more or less interact with one another, creates a type of status quo for relationships. Now, at a certain point, once that's been built, it is like building a foundation, and new ways of interacting can then be explored and can be built on top of that cultural foundation. One of the things that we are detecting is the cultural foundation is beginning to shift a little bit. People are, in a sense, becoming more open-minded in some respects. They are becoming more evolved in some respects. And in other areas, there are, let's just say, changes in how people are relating to the day-to-day. Instead of people thinking about their future, people are now beginning to pay attention to what is happening right now and how can I make right now even better? How can I enjoy right now to my highest level of enjoyment? These are the types of things we are detecting within the country at this time.
Okay, next question is, can you please give us your perspective on Christos oil when your moon crosses your sun sign each month and the opportunities it brings? What is a good practice to increase it?
We were not in one moment. We were not able to understand you. Please slow down a little bit, enunciate the words very specifically. There are terms here we're not familiar with in that sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So they ask, can you please give us your perspective on Christos oil, like
Christos
crystal?
oil, the oil of Christ.
Right.
All right.
And when you it says when your moon crosses your sun sign each month, and they're asking what opportunities this brings. I'm not familiarized neither,
Sure.
so
Sure. We'll talk about it like this. When the moon rather crosses the sun sign, it's an opportunity to amplify whatever it is that you're doing because the moon is an amplifier. Now, one of the things that is important is to pay attention to the lunar mansion that the moon is in when it crosses your sun sign, because some lunar mansions are auspicious, some are not. Keep that in mind. So you'll find certain energetic qualities and themes will show up in your life as the moon crosses your sun sign based upon the lunar mansion that the moon is in. So study lunar mansions, study their properties, their effects, and you'll be able to calculate the types of effects that will likely be produced within your experience through the moon crossing the sun sign. And it can prepare you. It also represents a type of growth point. Each time the moon crosses the sun sign, it is like a cycle has been completed. And whomever you are creating yourself to be, it's even more greatly amplified with each revolution. That is why at the beginning of your life, you seem like infinite potential. You could be anyone, you could be anything. And for many of you, once you have reached the later stages of life, you recognize, wow, I have created myself very specifically to be this kind of person. That came from all of that amplification, that cyclical amplification. You kept reinforcing and amplifying who you were creating yourself to be until you became a focused character within the story of life. In relationship to the oil of Christ, there are certain things we'll say on this. Keep in mind that in your ancient stories, Christ would wash the feet, sometimes of those whom would follow him. And in certain instances, water would be used. In other instances, oils would be used. The oil specifically is a symbol that represents higher consciousness, higher quality perspective. Because as you know, the oil comes from the pressing of different materials. It's pressed out. That pressing is a symbol. It's designed to represent one's spiritual process. Because when you are in a spiritual process, you are going within. That bringing of your energy within creates a type of pressure. That pressure creates the oil of enlightenment, the oil of Christ in that way. So it is a reference to this.
Okay, so we are this is a time check, 3 minutes to 2 your time.
All right, all right. We thank you for the questions you have submitted to us this day. They have been very, very creative, very insightful. As we had said, we are learning with you when we explore these questions. So we invite you all to our upcoming event on next Sunday, 1 p.m., The Power of the Three Selves. And we look forward to seeing you there. And as always, our family, we share with you our unconditional love and gratitude for everything you do reverberates. And all of your positive actions and intentions are reverberating. You're all sculpting a new earth now as we speak. We thank you for doing this because we are a part of it. And it warms our hearts to be in this position. So, as always, our unconditional love to each of you. Good day. Okay, wonderful.
Welcome back. Thank you very much, Tyler, for
Of
taking
course.
command or RYOKA. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had to leave like suddenly and I don't know what happened, but
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's I with these events, I have no expectation because I know how technology can be. So
yeah.
it's like sometimes I know I might be the only one on the call. So part of me has prepared for it, and don't worry, you can't be responsible for your internet service provider, nor can I. Mine's trust me, mine's cut out during like big events, and I have to like keep everybody waiting for 5 minutes. That doesn't happen often, but point is just got to roll with it. And hey, you really helped out today. So I'm deeply appreciative of it.
Well, it's always a pleasure, and thank you very much for your energy and everyone's energy. I'm really glad to be here and all of the amazing questions that people are asking. I hope I could make all of them, but it's not possible.
That's
So
true. Oh yeah, just on that note, if you're like, man, I wish I got my question answered. If only it was more time. We're doing a live Q&A tomorrow on our Patreon, and this is something we do pretty much every Monday, unless I'm traveling or something, hectic happens. But usually it's every Monday, 11. We've been doing it. So I invite you to that. You get much smaller Q&As, so you can prioritize your questions very well there, and you can get that one-on-one attention. So we go for about an hour, and that's like every Monday. So I encourage you join us there. And yeah, they were great questions. I had a lot of fun. It was trippy opening my eyes. So you were gone for a second, but I opened my eyes and I was scanning the questions.
oh my God.
And it's so funny because a lot of them are comments, like people just chatting, and some of them are like really, really
Yeah.
funny. One was like, Ryo, can I borrow your spaceship? And I was like, it's great. So
Yeah.
it's hilarious. It's hilarious reading those. It's my first time actually doing that in chat.
It was fun. It was fun. But okay.
Uh,
So we invite everyone for the next event next week, right?
Correct. Yep. 1 p.m. on Sunday, Power of the Three Selves, which I'm pretty excited to explore. In my own life, that's been a very pertinent theme, like understanding the differences between higher and lower self, and then seeing how they can work together because both have their own desires and needs. And sometimes they can seem like they're in conflict, but ultimately, it's not really a conflict. It's just a matter of reorganizing the
Right.
energies of these selves so they come together.
Yeah.
And it's as that is the destiny of every human being, as far as I can tell.
I
That's
know.
really what we're all
Learning to
dealing with.
do that in harmony. That's, oh my God. It's
All
all
right, yeah.
time.
Oh, exactly. That's so cool. It's true. It's true. We get to do that in harmony together. It'll be quite amazing. Oh, well, guys, this was great. Thanks for hanging out on a Sunday with us. So delightful. These brighten my day, and it's nice to have a day where this is the only main event, right, in terms of internet work. So It's nice. It feels very, very special, and very intimate to have this space. So we'll see you all soon. And Marcia, have a great day. Thanks for being here
Yeah,
with us.
you too, Tyler.